Hello, brick sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is seating tips, tricks, and techniques, and I've got some awesome stuff to show you today. We're going to start with some simple designs and work ourselves up to more difficult ones. Hopefully some of these can inspire you guys in your own builds. First of all, we all know the simple, basic Lego chair, and I'm sure one of the first things you discovered when starting playing with Lego was that you could put a brick under it and make it more minifig height. Now, I've always thought these are a little bit too tall with a full brick under it, so I tend to use 2 plates instead if using this method, but I'll be honest, I don't use this method too much anymore. If we want to add a little bit of detail to these chairs, an easy way to do that is to add a pedestal on it, something like this. Now, this does kind of imply that this chair is mounted to the floor, so it might not work in every application, but it can add some detail to that chair quite easily. If you want to go one step further, you can put a base on a pedestal. I also brought this down to 2-plate high height, and that looks really nice for maybe an office chair, but again, wouldn't look great around a dining room table. Now for the pedestal method, this tends to work best with stools, I find. I've got kind of a bar stool here, and maybe more of like a kitchen breakfast stool here. But a couple other things you can do with that method as well, as opposed to using the traditional chair. Now, one thing I've always wanted is to be able to find a way to put really nice looking chair legs on the basic Lego chair. And there's lots of different options out there. Here's a few, maybe like a lightsaber hilt. These are kind of those dumbbell looking pieces, telescope piece, or even an ice cream cone. The problem is all of these pieces are too tall. That looks absolutely ridiculous. So I've been trying to find a good way to do a nice chair leg that's not too tall. So the first thing I did was, okay, instead of doing one solid brick, do 4 cylinders. Not bad, but the legs don't have any space between them, so it doesn't look great. And then I thought, well, I can bring it down to the shorter height by doing 2 1x1 rounds on each. A little bit better, but they just look a little off. And then I recently found a technique that I really like, and this is what I've been using mostly in my mocks now, and that's this design. And the way that this works is we have 1x1 rounds with the open stud, and then 4 bottle toppers. Now these pieces don't hold super tight, but they do have a pretty decent clutch power on them. But I think, from all the options I've found, this looks like the most realistic chair leg that I've seen, and that's what I use nowadays mostly, especially when making wooden chairs. Now another chair that I really like to make are these bracket chairs. And these kind of remind me of like just a comfortable chair, maybe an older chair, especially in this color, maybe in tweed, that would sit in your grandparents' home or something, or maybe your basement. And these are real simple to build. All you need is 3 of these L-shaped brackets going up from the bottom, and some tile. And you just put tile on the outside of them. These make up the arms. You need 1 little piece underneath here, and a tile for the top. And they make for a really nice looking little armchair. You can also use the same method to make a couch. And in this one I varied the color a little bit, so it looks like it's upholstered in the middle, but has wood on the outside. And same thing, it's just brackets. And I fill in the middle here with tile. And this one I did put some legs on it, and some pearl silver there. You can do it with or without legs on it, but I think it adds a nice little touch, lift it off the ground a little bit. Here, Rick, have a seat. Now, if you want a little bit more plush looking sofa, I really like doing this design. And what I do for this, I use a few different pieces. I use these 1x1 rounded over top pieces. Really handy for arms of sofas. On the back here, I use these 1x3 curves. And they just make for a nice looking smooth back. Now the cushions, I recently came up with this method that I really like. If you just stick standard tile on here, it doesn't have the nice cushion lines in it. So how did I do this? Well, I used these pieces because they have the extra kind of chamfered edge, and it makes it look like 3 individual cushions, which I really like. You can also do this in a chair method, and same thing with the cushion. You just put 1 in there. Doesn't make it look the best from the back, but put it up against the wall. And I got some feet on there in medium nougat. They make for a really nice set of chair and sofa there as well. Now let's say we want to do some more outdoor seating. This was one that was a lot of fun to build. And it's kind of fragile, but the way I built this is, I'll take it apart here for you. The pieces come like this. I've got these 1x3 rounded ones. Where they come together, you have to use tile, but the rest of these have studs on them. I used 1x2s for the top, 1x3s for the bottom, and just mirrored the same over there. Stuck it together. You do have to have something connecting the two sides. I'm sure there's a way to do it otherwise, but I haven't figured it out yet. And a couple of these on the back just to support it. I think that's a really cool looking outdoor sofa. One thing I always enjoy making, especially in my newer city because I'm going to do so much outdoor stuff, is picnic tables. And picnic tables are cool because you can make them really simple, just using tile to have them for the bench and the top. But you can get really detailed with the sides here and kind of try to get that X shape going. I also even put the metal rod through the middle there to give it support. So I think this turned out really well. This might be one of the better picnic tables I ever made. Now this one was particularly difficult, and I really like how it came out, but it took a long time to figure this out. And this is kind of an Adirondack style. The key to this build is this piece here. It gives it that really nice shape for that front leg. And then just a whole bunch of tiles and brackets. And these down here are to connect it to the ground because you need something to connect it. And then I just sandwiched the back in between these uprights with a couple brackets. I think that turned out really nice. I can't wait to put that outside one of the buildings in my new city. And I decided to make a chair version as well. Just a smaller version, same design. Now we can't talk about seating without talking about the throne. Here you go, Rick. No, not that kind of throne. We're talking about the throne. Yeah, that's right, the toilet. I'm a city builder, come on. I do love that throne though, isn't that cool? Now this is the toilet I've been using in my cities for a while now, and it is an original design by me. I know I've seen similar ones out there, but this is something that I came up with a little while ago. And basically, you've got some round plates here, 1x1, 1x4. I use these kind of quarter circle tiles, and then another 1x1, and then the life preserver. And that gives you your toilet seat. On the tank, I use one of these bricks with studs on two sides. And then I just put this one on top for the top of the tank. And it's good that this hangs over a little bit because a toilet tank doesn't go just to the edges. It usually hangs over by a bit. A little silver piece on there for the flusher. And you've got yourself a modern looking toilet. Now I do put these in my jail cells as well, but I typically will change them up and make them gray. Just so they look more like they're made out of steel. Now this design was new for this video and I really love how this came out. This is the same basic design on the bottom, but it's a tankless. So if you're doing like a retail store, a grocery store bathroom, something like that, they don't have tanks on them. They go directly into the wall. And I really had to fiddle around with parts for a while to figure out how to do this and make it look good. And this is what I came up with. So on the wall is just one of these clip pieces in silver. These pieces, I don't want to call them rare, but people don't really use them much. And it's this silver, it almost looks like a socket driver. And I just put a 1x1 round on one side. They have kind of a bulbous, I don't know if it's a valve or something on the toilet that goes right there. And then this will just fit in here and connect the toilet from the back of the seat to the wall. I am going to be using these in my city at some point. I'm not quite sure where yet, but I really like how that turned out. Now, because we had to be fancy, I decided to make a high tank toilet, which you don't see these very much anymore. And I'll be honest, I'm never going to build a house in my Lego city that's big enough to actually support one of these, but it's pretty cool. And basically, we just have our standard toilet base, a nice long gold pole, and then our tank is up high. Then you have a pole chain to pull it, and then gravity allows the water to come down and flush the toilet. One thing when I was building this, the chain was too long. So all you have to do to shorten these is just rotate this upward and it shortens the chain. And it worked out just fine. I think that turned out pretty cool. Just need the house to put it in. And of course you should never have a toilet without a plunger nearby. Alright, Now this one was really cool. I decided I wanted to try and incorporate more armrests. And that got me thinking, okay, what about like a seating arrangement at an airport or at a train station? And this is what I came up with here. I used paint rollers. I've got some D-snot pieces down there with these little clips on them to hold the paint rollers in between the seats. I couldn't figure out a really clean way to put one on this side, but I figured, hey, put that up against the wall or something. I'm sure there's a way, I just didn't tinker with it long enough. But I think those turned out really cool, almost kind of like stadium seating. Now another thing I've been trying to come up with a really good one for a long time is the school desk. And this is what I came up with here. So we've got very similar to what we did here with the armrests, but it comes to this mechanical arm. These silver pieces are more of those pieces that, again, they're not rare, but they're not commonly used. I don't really know what they came from, but I've got kind of that socket piece in this right angle with the clip. And this allowed me to take one of these street sign pieces with the clip on it and hold it out in front. Often when I've built these in the past, they've looked kind of clunky, and I really like how this turned out because I can put Rick here in it and have this come up right in front of him, and it doesn't look overly huge and in the way. It looks like something he could actually use in a school. There's a few builds that I've always gone back and forth trying to make better and better and better, and one of them is office chairs. Office chairs in Lego can be incredibly difficult, and for this video I built one that I think is better than any other office chair I've ever done, and I'm really happy how this came out. So here we go. Now I don't use any of the traditional chairs in this, which has been my mistake in the past. I always use a traditional chair and then you're really limited to what you can do with it. The arms are always tricky on office chairs. So for this one I did these clips on the side holding the ice cream cone piece, and then I just did an ingot on top. I think it looks really good. On the bottom I put a little lever there that you would use to either recline or raise or lower the seat, and that just sticks out in front. We have a hinge in the back here, and then I just use plates and tiles to build the base and the back. And I really like how that came out. I think it's a nice looking chair. This is going to go in my bank mock in the upstairs office to replace the one I put in there before. I like this one better. Now if you want to use this for maybe a hair salon, you can adapt it to give it a footrest and make it look a little bit more commercial. So I've just got some D-snot pieces down here with some of these angled, they're similar to the ice cream cone pieces, but they have that angle on them. And then I just put a footrest out in front. Same thing here with the ice cream cones and the ingots, and the same back. So that would work good in a hair salon to give you that footrest there. Then I figured maybe you'd want to put this in a dentist office, so I made one in white. Looks pretty cool, huh? Really like how those came out. Well, I hope you guys liked this video. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more just like this in the future, and we will see you next time.